Alrighty, here we are on lesson 13, Inequalities. So in this lesson we're going to kind of get more into the writing of inequalities to help us solve problems. So for the first exercise though, it says that Tarek is trying to save $265.49 to buy a new tablet. Right now he has $40 and can save $38 a week from his allowance. Write and evaluate an expression to represent the amount of money he saved after all of these weeks. So we know he has $40 plus the $38 per week, so this would be 38 times 2, and this is how much you'd have after 2 weeks, and if we multiply it, so we would get 40 plus 76, not 76, this should be 76, not 72, and this equals 116. So now if we do after 3 weeks, it would be 40 plus 38 times 3, and if you did all of that, that would get you 154. Now if we did 4 weeks, it would be 40 plus 38 times 4, which would get you 192. 5 weeks would be 40 plus 38 times 5, which would give you 230. 6 weeks would be 40 plus 38 times 6, which would give you 268. 7 would be 40 plus 38 times 7, which would get you 306. And then last but not least, 8 weeks would get you 40 plus 38 times 8, which would give you 344. So the question asks, when will Tarek have enough money to buy the tablet? So if we're looking, he needs $265. So after 6 weeks, he would have enough money. Okay, so we could go keep doing it like this and add up all the weeks, but we know how to write equations, and now we're going to write inequalities. So to write an inequality, we know that it has to be 40 plus that 38 times how many weeks? So I'm going to call them W. And we know that it has to be greater than or equal to what he needs to buy it, which is 265.49. Okay, and we know it has to be greater than or equal to because we want to make sure he has enough money. Alright, so that would be our inequality then, and if you solved it, you would get the same thing 6 weeks. But go ahead and flip on to the next page. We're going to look at example 1. It says the sum of two consecutive odd integers is more than negative 12. Form true numerical inequality expressions. So if we're going to use our visual, which we can do, alright, we have our first number and our second number, and we know they're consecutive odd integers. So our first number would be x, and this would be x plus 2 to keep it odd. And we know that it has to be more than, so greater than negative 12. Okay, so now it says to write an inequality and find all values that would make it true. So our inequality would be x plus 2 is greater than negative 12. I combine like terms, so I have 2x plus 2 is greater than negative 12. I subtract 2. So I get 2x is greater than negative 14, and now if I divide by 2, I would get that x is greater than negative 7. So we know it has to be bigger than negative 7. Alright, so we know that that would make it true. So this means that the first number would be negative 7, and then for it to be greater than negative 12, think about it, we'd want this number to be at least 5. Alright, so we would have negative 3 or negative 5 or a negative 3. That would also work for the second number to make it greater than negative 12. Alright, we're going to skip this next part because we kind of just did all of that, and we're going to move on to the next page. Number 2 says, Connor went to the county fair with $22.50 in his pocket. He bought a hot dog and a drink for $3.75 and then wanted to spend the rest of his money on ride tickets, which cost $1.25 each. So it says to write an equality to represent the total spent where R is the number of tickets purchased. So we know that he bought that hot dog and a drink for $3.75, so that's kind of a given. Plus, he wants to buy tickets, which are $1.25. We don't know how many, so we're calling them R. And he can spend no more than $22.50. So this has to be less than or equal to 22.50. Okay. Part B says Connor wants to use this inequality to determine whether he can purchase 10 tickets. Right, so we have to kind of see if he would have enough money. So this would be 3.75 plus 1.25, and R would be 10, so times 10 is less than or equal to 22.50. So if we multiply this by 10, we're moving that decimal over one place. So this would be 12.5, still 3.75, and still less than or equal to 22.50. Alright. And then if we combine these like terms, we would get $16.25, which indeed is less than $22.50. So we could say that yes, he will have enough. Alright. And then part C is a little bit different. It says what is the total maximum number of tickets he can buy based on the information. So that means now we're taking this inequality. So 3.75 plus 1.25R less than or equal to 22.50. And now we're solving for R to see how many he can buy. So first we're going to subtract 3.75 from both sides. It's just like solving an equation. So we have 1.25R less than or equal to, and this is 18.75. If we divide by 1.25 on both sides, and you can do this in the calculator, we would get R is less than or equal to 15. So we can say that he can buy at most 15 tickets. Alright, that's the maximum number of tickets that he can buy. Alright. And then our last one, number 3 here, it says, on a particular airline, checked bags can weigh no more than 50 pounds. Sally packed 32 pounds of clothes and 5 identical gifts in a suitcase that weigh 8 pounds. Write an inequality to represent the situation. So, we know that we have clothes, gifts, and the suitcase. And we know the total can be no more than 50. So it has to be less than or equal to 50. We know the clothes weigh 32 pounds. We know that the suitcase already weighs 8 pounds by itself. It's a heavy suitcase. And we know that they bought, or that she packed 5 gifts. We don't know how much they weigh though, so I'm going to call this 5x. So now, to find out how much each gift can weigh, we would add all these up. So we'd have 32 plus 5x plus 8 less than or equal to 50. So we would have 40 plus 5x is less than or equal to 50. If I subtract 40 from both sides, I get 5x is less than or equal to 10. And if I divide by 5 on both sides, I get that x is less than or equal to 2. So to answer the question, we would say that each gift has to be 2 pounds or less. Right? Because if each gift is more than 2 pounds, that would put them over the weight limit. Alright, so that's it for this lesson. If you have any questions, make sure to put a star next to them, and then we can go over a few in class all together.